Hello guys, welcome back to Abdo channel. In today's video, we will talk about the different deployment models that are available with any cloud computing platform. In the last video, we talked about how the services, what are the different models the services are being delivered and being used by any cloud service provider. Right, and there are three different cloud service models or the cloud computing models that we have seen like IaaS, PaaS and SaaS. Similarly, once you are utilizing the services and the way you deploy them, the way you create them, the way they are available in the cloud computing platform is all about cloud deployment models. Okay, the way you deploy them, the way you make them available. Okay, the way the services are available is all called as the cloud deployment models. Mainly, there are three cloud deployment models like public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. Okay, but apart from these three, there are two other deployment models like community cloud and multi cloud. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover public, private, and hybrid clouds in the today's video. In the next video, I will talk about what is community cloud and multi-cloud. Okay, so let's start with the public cloud. Okay, so public cloud means all resources that are required to build your applications, such as virtual machines, storage, database, network, can be taken for lease by any user or by any organization from the cloud service provider, either for free or by paying some amount. Okay, so say for example, here this is a resource, virtual machine. This virtual machine can be taken for lease by any other or by any organization like org1, org2, org3. Here in this case, not a whole virtual machine will be allocated to only one organization. Okay, but instead pieces of the virtual machine will be divided into some different parts, and one part of the virtual machine will be given to arc1, another part will be given to arc2, another part will be given to arc3. So all these are segregated into different parts here. Okay, and will be given to different users. No, arg1 cannot access the arg2. That kind of segregation or the isolation is being done or maintained by the cloud service provider only. Also, once you have the resource, you can use it and you can pay for what you use. Suppose if you are using this virtual machine for only 1 or 2 hours, you can pay only for that duration, only for 1 or 2 hours, whatever the duration you have used. So you can use it, you can lease it and pay for only for those hours, that virtual machine. So resources deployed on public cloud are managed and controlled by the cloud service provider. You don't have to manage them. Okay, well, whatever the virtual machine, that will be managed by the public cloud provider itself. Okay, so here, as I said earlier, a single physical machine is shared as pieces to multiple customers. So it is not that the whole virtual machine will be allocated to only one customer or one organization or one user. Pieces of virtual machine will be allocated here. So this is called as multi-tenancy. So if you look at this, available for all users, either free or pay, we have to pay only for the usage, managed by cloud service providers, multi-tenancy, because single virtual machine is being shared with multiple tenants or multiple organizations or multiple customers. This is called as multi-tenancy. Okay, so what are the advantages or the disadvantages and disadvantages of public cloud? So public clouds are managed by the cloud service providers. So you don't have to do any maintenance activities on the public cloud. Suppose if you are taking a virtual machine from the public cloud, then you don't have to do maintenance activities like patching, security patches, version upgrades on all those virtual machines. Cloud service provider will take care of those maintenance activities. So Scalability, scaling up and down of the resources can be done easily when you are taking public cloud deployment model. Also, the minimal investment like operational expenditure, right? So you have to you have to pay only for what you use. Okay, that's all about the advantages. So disadvantage, when it is coming to disadvantages, right? Less secure. When I say less secure, right? When you are doing everything on your own, like on-premise system, you will have the whole control and you will have the more secure. You will have the more control on the data, right? More secure systems you can build. But by default, when it is coming to public cloud system, by default, strong security standards are followed by any cloud security service provider. But if there are any specific legal requirements or by any local governments or some regulations that you have to follow, your organization have to follow based on the local regulations or the governance, then public cloud cannot meet those customizations. That way it is less secure. When you are doing on-premise system, then you can do whatever customizations, whatever regulations you want to follow, that you can follow. But when you are going with public cloud, as it is a shared with multiple tenants, then you cannot do those customizations. That's why it is less secure and less customizable. Okay, also ownership, right? You as an organization don't have any rights to modify the hardware uh, as they are being shared by multiple tenants and they are owned by and managed by the cloud service provider. You are not the owner, right? Because ownership and maintenance is all taken care by the cloud service provider. So that's all about the public cloud. Now let's move on to the private cloud. So here, if you see, whole virtual machine or the whole resource itself is being given to the organization. In the public cloud, we have seen some parts of the virtual machine is being shared with multiple vendors or multiple customers, right? But here, if you see, whole virtual machine itself is being uh, given access to the whole organization. So it is called as a single tenant. So resources or services that are specific to the organization here. Okay, there is no resource sharing here. Okay, whole physical machine or whole storage device is the sole property of the organization. It is not shared by multiple tenants. Similarly, one organization cannot access the virtual machines of or the resources of another organization. Okay, so it can be deployed on premises or on cloud. Okay, so this is all about private cloud. Similar, it will be similar to your on-premise data center. Okay, where you are having the whole control, right? But if it is deployed on the on-premises systems, it has to follow all cloud principles like on-demand service, scalability, availability, elasticity, all those things, principles it has to follow. Then only it will be called as a cloud, private cloud. Otherwise, it will be called as on-premise system. Okay, when your private cloud is deployed on premise, it has to follow all the cloud principles. Then only it will be called as private cloud. It will be managed and controlled only by the organization on whose premises this is deployed, because no one else can access the on-premise cloud. Okay, on-premise or on cloud. So we have seen that we have discussed about the on-premise deployment of a private cloud. Similarly, if it is deployed on a cloud, it will be managed and controlled by the organization and also the cloud service provider. Okay, private cloud can be on the on-premise and also on the cloud. If it is on-premise, it has to follow the cloud principles and it will be managed only by the organization on whose premises it was deployed. But if it is deployed on cloud service provider or the organization can access it, the private cloud, and also the dedicated and exclusive access to all single organization only. The resources will be shared. It is a single tenant. Uh, Also, private cloud we can choose when your application is generating the or your application wants to insert the public or the personal identifiable information of a customer. Suppose if you your application is in such a way that you want the only the cloud principles, like your application should be scalable, uh, elastic, and highly available. You want to maintain the Kubernetes type of clustered architecture, then you can go to the public cloud. In such scenarios, where you want your microservices or the services to be up and running every time and the scalable and the elastic, and you don't want to store any PII information, then you can go for the public cloud. But if your application, uh, along with the along with the cloud properties, and you also want to store some personal information of your customers, like first name, last name, email ID, and the logs of your application, then you can choose to store them in the private cloud, like your on-premise system. You can store the personal information in the on-premise system, and your application can be running on the public cloud with Kubernetes clusters with the high available and the reliable, scalable and elastic features. Okay, so we have to choose the private cloud when PII should not be in the public cloud. So PII can be in the private cloud. That's the feature of the private cloud. So what are the advantages and disadvantages that we will see it here? So we know that public cloud is less secure because there are no customization. We cannot do the customizations because that is the shared. In private cloud, it is more secure because it is not shared environment. It is a single tenant environment. You can do the customizations according to your local governance, and you can follow all the security standards as per your customizations, as per your requirements, and also local governance rules also you can follow. So that's why it is more secure. And also you have to use the private cloud only when I mean in a scenario when you want to store the personal information of customers, because it will be all in your control, right? So that's why customizations and hardware customizations are also can be done when you are using the private cloud. But when it is coming to disadvantages, right, uh, everything will be sole property of the organization. So you have to buy the whole virtual machine, like in your on-premise system. You have to buy all everything upfront, right? Similarly, in the private cloud, you have to buy everything as it is a sole property of your organization. So initial capital expenditure will be more. Similarly, maintenance of dedicated cloud, it is all dedicated to you, right? So you have to maintain, have to be done by the organization's internal IT experts. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of private cloud. So far we have seen public cloud and private cloud, right? So public cloud offers low cost and low maintenance, more scalable and elastic, right? These are the cloud principles that are provided by the public cloud. Uh, Private cloud offers more control over the hardware and more security and more customizable. So these are the different advantages coming up from the different clouds, each and every individual clouds. Suppose if I have a requirement, okay, that should be having advantages for combined public and private cloud. I want more secured environment, but low maintenance. I want more scalable environment. I want to have the more customizable environment. Then we have to go for the public hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is a combination of both public and private clouds. Okay, that we will see it. Okay, scalable. Hybrid cloud is scalable, right? Because that is a combination of public cloud. Hybrid cloud is having a feature of scalable, elastic, customizable coming up from the private cloud. So you can take a hybrid cloud when in a scenario when you want to store the when you want to have the more security, and when you want to store the personal information of customers, then you can store all those features, all those security implementations. You can do it in the private cloud, and your application you can deploy it on the public cloud so that it will be more elastic and more scalable and more available. That way you will be forming the hybrid cloud deployment model. Okay, so it is also low cost compared to private because you are using the public cloud for customizations, public cloud for application deployments, right? So it will be less cost, but compared to the private, but high cost compared to public because you are using the private cloud for more customizations. Then customizations are not possible with public, right? So high cost with compared to public, low cost compared to private in hybrid cloud. Okay, what are the advantages and the disadvantages? So highly secured. So we are using the private cloud, right? So we can customize whatever the local governance rules, and we can maintain all the security standards. So that is one of the advantage of the hybrid cloud. We can, it is also scalable as we are using the public cloud. Disadvantages. Disadvantages means high cost, high maintenance. As we High maintenance means as we need to manage more than one cloud here, right? Because it is a combination of both public and private clouds, we have to manage, and so maintenance cost will be high when compared to other clouds. Also the high cost because we have to spend a lot of money upfront itself for setting up the private cloud as part of the hybrid cloud, right? So cost will also be high compared to other clouds. Okay, so that's all for today about public, private, and hybrid clouds. We have seen in detail about all of them. What are the features of each and every cloud, and what are the pros and cons of each individual cloud deployment model. In the next video, we will talk about community and multi clouds. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please give it a like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.